And there I was. I was the girl from Suits.
This one's wife. One wrong world. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Prince Harry has made a poor decision in relation to African parks and his involvement at board level, and it would appear that, somewhat unsurprisingly, that this one's wife's favoured youth charity is now coming back to bite her on the backside, demonstrating that as a consequence of her skewed moral outlook upon the world, it's resulted in her not undertaking appropriate due diligence in the thrust and haste to get herself in a position of authority, with the consequence that certain things then come back to haunt her. The BBC reported Watchdog sends official warning to youth charity One Young World. You'll recall that is an organisation that this one's wife has been involved in, and indeed, if I recall correctly, she's described as a counsellor for the organisation alongside other individuals, some of whom are noteworthy. A youth organisation, reports the BBC, which holds high-profile events with famous guests, has been sent an official warning by the charity Watchdog. The Charity Commission criticised One Young World for unauthorised payments to a staff member and a lack of accurate records, which of course gives the sniff of some financial shenanigans. This one's wife is among a number of figures, including Sir Richard Branson and Cher, who have spoken at its events. There is no suggestion of wrongdoing from any of the celebrity speakers. In response, the charity issued a statement. One Young World is naturally disappointed at the Charity Commission's findings over two limited administrative errors. The Charity Commission issued One Young World with an official warning, which is when the regulator finds a breach of trust, misconduct, or mismanagement. The charity has run a number of well-publicised summits with celebrity names promoting youth leadership to an international audience. Young delegates, according to the charity's website, are counselled by influential political, business and humanitarian leaders, including figures such as Justin Trudeau. That tells you everything you need to know there. Bob Geldof, there's another one. Queen Rania of Jordan and Emma Watson. In September 2022, this one's wife spoke at the charity summit in Manchester in her first speech in the United Kingdom since stepping down as a working royal. You may recall from parts passing that this was the speech at Bridgewater Hall that caused glass eyes to fall asleep, for many people to enter a comatose state, as she was subjected to a woman dressed in red, talking about herself and about how she'd appeared on other occasions at these events, talking about what she had done, before then throwing fridge magnet platitudes at an audience which had been stuffed with cheerleaders to make it seem like she was interesting. I have to say that it is one of the most boring, uninspiring, self-absorbed speeches that I've ever had the misfortune to witness. At the event, where fees for young delegates cost up to £3,000, this one's wife encouraged young people by talking about her own sense of self-doubt. There is no criticism of guest speakers at such events. The charity Watchdog warned One Young World over governance failings and breaches of trust by the charity's trustees. The Watchdog found a lack of evidence that conflicts of interest have been effectively managed. Unauthorised payments to a connected person employed by the charity's trading subsidiary. Poor minute-taking. The Charity Commission says it intervened in 2022 following concerns raised about senior staff salaries and bonuses paid by the charity. However, the watchdog says it accepts that trustees made these bonus payments in good faith at the time. In the 12 months to December 2022, the charity's chief executive, Kate Robertson, received £225,088, and her daughter, and managing director Ella Robertson-McKay, received £115,008. The Charity Commission's Tracy Howarth said their findings had uncovered governance errors around preventing conflicts of interest, but welcomed efforts by the trustees in addressing past failings. The watchdog said it had engaged with the trustees extensively, providing advice which the charity had already implemented, including the CEO of the charity stepping down as a trustee last year. A spokesman for One Young World said the issues highlighted by the Charity Commission were the result of historical mistakes in legal processes and blamed the trustees placing reliance on their former professional advisors, which they did in entirely good faith. There is no suggestion whatsoever that any senior executives nor trustees did anything willfully wrong or untoward in either case, says the charity, which has made changes so that these technical errors do not happen again. On payments to the charity's bosses, representatives said that senior executive salaries are externally benchmarked with the salaries of executives of other similar international charities and corporate organisations that have global footprints. Now, this one's wife hasn't done anything wrong herself. She's not been involved in any allegation of wrongdoing. But the problem is that when you are allied with organisations such as this, one of her favoured charities, you've got to take the rough with the smooth, which is, it's all very well turning up, wearing red and boring an audience to death, and then utilising that for facade management by flouncing around saying, look, I did some charitable work. Wasn't I wonderful? Which, of course, as we all know, which is simply done to pursue the prime aims. The difficulty for her is that when problems arise in relation to this charity, her name gets mentioned. And for many people, they'll just make this connection. Despite the fact that she's not actually done anything wrong, they'll think, doesn't surprise me, dodgy goings on at a charity that involves this one's wife. And that, in a nutshell, sums up the problem that this one's wife has. So many people do not like her, do not trust her, and therefore her reputation has been damaged to such a degree that all you need to do is make mention of the fact that she has an involvement with a charity that has had some warning issued to it by a regulator to cause people to think to themselves, doesn't really surprise me if she's involved. They aren't necessarily going to look into the facts of the matter, namely, this one's wife didn't do anything wrong herself, but the association is enough. Dodgy goings on at charity, this one's wife, people just put it together. And that's what happens when you behave in the way that this one's wife does. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.